Chapter 12. The Third Week. Ah. I steered the Chevy home and nearly had a heart attack when I saw Galligani's Honda parked across the street. Was he staking out my house? Don't get paranoid, Kate. I pulled into the garage and ran upstairs. Mother was watching the Spanish language station. Lori was asleep in the bassinet. "What are you doing?" I asked Mom. "I'm trying to learn Spanish." "Why?" I glanced at the TV screen. El Gordo y la Flaca was on. "Because Hank asked me to go with him on a cruise to the Mexican Riviera." I strained to look out the window at Galligani's car. "Did anyone call or ring the bell or anything?" "No. So is it okay with you, dear?" "What?" "I'll only be gone a week, but I wanted to make sure I clear any vacation plans with you first because of Lori. Who'll watch her when you need to go shopping? What did you get anyway?" She searched the floor for my shopping bags. "Oh, nothing fit." Mother mistook my distraction as disappointment. "Don't worry, dear. It's only been a few weeks. You'll get your figure back in no time. Mom, I need to go downstairs a minute, okay?" She stared after me as I closed the front door behind me and ran down the steps. Was Galligani having trouble with his car again? As I approached, I noticed he was slumped over the steering wheel. I felt faint. Oh, sweet Jesus, not again. I knocked on his window. He didn't move. I couldn't tell if he was breathing or not. He looked pretty lifeless. Had someone killed Galligani in front of my house? I ran back inside the house, ignoring the excruciating pain that shot through my hips and pelvic bone. I grabbed the phone and dialed 911. Mom noticed the alarm on my face. "What is it, dear?" "I don't know. Please don't be dead," I prayed. "There's a man parked outside and he's slumped over the steering wheel." Mother rushed to the window. "Do you know him?" I shrugged my shoulders noncommittedly, not wanting to lie again, but not wanting to tell the truth either. How many white lies can a person tell before it catches up to her, before she becomes a liar? "Is he a neighbor?" Mom persisted, squinting through the front window, trying to get a good look into the Honda. I ignored Mom and told the 911 operator what I knew. The operator asked, "Does it appear that a crime has been committed? Does the victim have a gunshot wound or anything?" "Not that I can tell. He's doubled over the steering wheel." "Did he respond when you knocked on the window?" "No." "Do you know CPR?" "Yes." "All right, ma'am. I'm calling the EMTs. They'll be there shortly. In the meantime, you can try to gain access to the car and attempt CPR." "Maybe I could break a window." Well, at least I knew there was no one lurking in the car. I searched my front room for a heavy object. Nothing. I ran to the closet and fumbled around inside. The best I could do was grab a broom. I sprinted down the stairs. "Please don't be dead, don't be dead, don't be dead," I chanted as I made my way toward Galligani's car. Mom watched from the window as I swung the broom over my head. "Wait, I hadn't even tried the doors." I let the broom drop on the ground and tried the driver's door. The door opened. I could hear sirens approaching. I pulled Galligani away from the steering wheel. His body was wet and hot. Blood? I shook him and called his name, trying to get a better look at him, any injuries he might have. As I pulled him toward the open door and light, he tumbled onto the cement, taking me with him. The sirens grew louder. Suddenly, I was looking straight into the grill of a rapidly approaching fire truck. "Please, God, don't let me die this way!" I tried to push Galligani's huge mass off me. He weighed a ton, but I had a tiny infant to live for. I heaved against him with all my might. My forgotten ab muscles were screaming out as if to say, "Sure, you don't work us for 9 months and now you want action?" Tires screeched and ground into the cement. My heart was in my throat. The truck had stopped inches from me. I took as deep a breath as I could, with Galligani on top of me. I tried again to push him off. I could see boots approaching. 2 pairs. The men in boots rolled Galligani off me. I gasped for air. One gave Galligani CPR. The other bent over me. I tried to get up. He restrained my shoulders with his hands. "Lie still, ma'am," he said, hovering over me. His breath smelled like mint. His brown eyes searched my face. "I'm fine." "Even so, just give me a minute." He wrapped his fingers under my head and gave me a gentle head massage. "Just looking for any abnormalities." "I've often thought my head should be examined for abnormalities." He smiled. "From the fall, you don't seem to have any." I refrained from telling him where I'd landed, lest he want to check my ass for any abnormalities. He helped me to my feet. I glanced over at Galligani. No blood. His shirt was soaked through with sweat. What could have happened? Another car approached, a police cruiser. Inspector McNerney lurched out of the car and approached the firefighter who'd been helping me. They discussed something in hushed tones. The other firefighter continued to give Galligani CPR. I stepped forward to see how Galligani was progressing, and how, I'll admit to it, to try and eavesdrop on McNerney. My foot kicked something on the ground. Galligani's notebook. Without taking my eyes off McNerney, I quickly scooped it up and slipped it into my back pocket. After a moment, McNerney broke away and approached me. "What a coincidence," I said in my best sarcastic tone. "No coincidence, Mrs. Connelly. I already told you I don't believe in those. I requested the dispatch officer alert me regarding any calls from your residence, especially after your 911 fiasco the other night. You remember, your husband broke into his own house?" Jerk. "How nice. I feel much safer now." I smiled my best smart-ass smile. He indicated the abandoned broom, which now lay near the front tires of Galligani's Honda. "What happened? Did you sweep him to death?" "I found his car parked here. He was slumped over the steering wheel. The broom was to assist me with the rescue attempt." McNerney glared at me. "How?" "I thought I might have to break a window to get him out of the car." "Do you know him? Is he your friend, too?" I bit my lip. I felt a lie bubbling up. What good would it do? When had I become a liar anyway? "He's a PI. His name's Galligani." "He's my friend," McNerney said, his eyes settling onto mine. The animosity between us seemed to dissipate. An ambulance arrived. The firefighters put Galligani onto a stretcher. "Is he alive?" I asked. "Barely," one paramedic responded. We watched the ambulance screech off, sirens screaming. "Former cop," McNerney said. "He was my first partner when I joined the force 14 years ago. I need to follow them to the hospital. Try and stay out of trouble." As soon as Mom left, I lay down on the couch and snuggled Lori, her little breaths warming my arm. I rubbed her tummy and she made a soft ah sound. My thoughts drifted to Galligani. Was this an attempt at murder? Would he survive? I felt chilled and scared. I double-checked the locks on the doors and windows and returned to my position on the couch, bringing along a throw blanket. Then I picked up his notebook and devoured it. Brad Avery recovered Pier 23 on September 19th. Body decomposed. Coroner puts date of death on or around June 15th. Cause of death, bullet wound to the head, 9mm Luger. Survived by G. Avery, mother, S. Avery, ex-wife, and M. Avery, wife. Last seen by M. Avery, June 15th. On the record, reported fight with B. Avery due to extramarital affair, unable to locate party who'd been having affair with B. Avery. G. Connolly, bags recovered on September 19th at Pier 23. Last known address, 1482 Rivera. March 9th. Evicted by sheriff for wielding chainsaw at property owner Roger Connolly. Unable to locate G. Connolly. Connection to B. Avery? M. Avery found dead on October 3rd by K. Connolly, high school friend. Appears to have alibi for June 15th. No apparent motive. M. Avery survived by Kellyanne Dupree, half-sister. Last known address, 1878 Haight Street. Apartment 304. Cause of death, overdose of diazepam in combination with alcohol. Suicide? Interview scheduled October 8th. Kiku Ajari, 1 p.m. Tucked in the back of his notebook was a list of possible gun manufacturers that matched the rifling on the 9mm Luger bullet recovered. I examined the list. The only manufacturers I had heard of were Beretta and Smith & Wesson. I'd need to ask Jim about it. Growing up with a father from Montana who'd introduced Jim to hunting, he understood more about guns than I did. I reread Galligani's notes. George had threatened Uncle Roger with a chainsaw, no less. That's why Roger had finally kicked him out. It was also probably the reason he hadn't come to Jim and me. If George had become violent with Roger, then certainly killing Brad would be in the realm of possibility. What about Michelle? Suicide? Not likely. She'd confided to me that she'd been scared, worried that whoever killed Brad might come after her. Why would she tell me that if that wasn't true? Unless she killed Brad and said it to cover her guilt, then ended up killing herself because the guilt was too great? Could she have accidentally overdosed? Maybe Kellyanne could shed light on this. I reflected on Kellyanne's address. She lived in the building on Haight Street I'd first followed Galligani to. I thought he'd gone to see Jennifer in apartment 303, but I was wrong. He had been there to see Kellyanne. Was it a coincidence that hippie chick Jennifer had worked at Il Paraiso? Lori stirred next to me, stretching her arms over her head like a kitten. I nuzzled her and she settled back to sleep. My thoughts returned to Michelle. If she had been poisoned, could Galligani have been poisoned too? Had someone tried to kill him in front of my house? Who was Kiku? The interview was in a couple days. Could I go in Galligani's place?